everyone. Welcome to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at what if, and we're looking at two different questions here. One, how hard would you have to hit a hockey puck to make it knock a goalie backward? And number two, if everyone stayed away from each other for 5 weeks, could we wipe out the common cold? Well, let's look at the first question first. The hockey puck, hitting that hockey puck so hard to make someone fall over or get knocked back, can't really happen. I mean, I guess it could happen if we use some kind of machine to shoot the hockey puck. But even then, if that machine shot the hockey puck, there would be a lot of different problems with the hockey puck not being able to knock a goalie over. First is heat. If we shot that hockey puck out, and it would have to go like Mach 2 or Mach 8, it would be going so fast that the air in front of it would be compressing, becoming hot, like we learned before, and that would create heat that would probably just melt the hockey puck. So it would go, and it would just be melted goop. Okay, that's not really going to work. Well, there's another problem. The hockey puck material that it's made out of isn't going to keep its shape when it hits someone. So we imagine like a bullet goes into someone, keeps its shape, and comes out, and it comes like a mushroom. Well, hockey puck isn't made of metal. So when it hits someone and it's hot, it's actually going to hit them, and it will probably hurt, but it'll go and just kind of explode into a bunch of goop. So the material that the hockey puck is made out of isn't really suited to knock someone over. And the author kind of gives a comparison. Like if you looked at a 10-year-old kid on the ice and they were to hit you going 1 mile an hour, boom, that would have more power and weight to it than the hockey puck hitting you. So no matter how fast you shoot it, it's not going to have enough momentum or weight to really knock over a goalie, who's going to be about 600 pounds with all the gear on. That leaves us with question number 2. How can we eradicate the common cold? And this is a really interesting question because right now this video is being made in 2022, what some people consider the end of the pandemic of the coronavirus, COVID-19, but that virus is still around. I think people are just kind of getting tired of it, and we're getting vaccinations, so we're feeling a little safer. But it's not really the end of anything. We're just getting used to it. And that's an opinion, and I haven't looked in the news or anything. But with this virus, the world tried to quarantine very much like this example. So first of all, the author talks about how the virus works. The virus gets into your body, it attacks your body, and it spreads to someone else before your body defeats it. Now, the interesting thing is the symptoms that we have from a cold are not actually the virus. It's our body fighting the virus, and that's one way that fights the virus. So if we were to quarantine and everyone just stayed away from each other for 3 to 5 weeks, there's a really big economic risk here, which we're actually living through right now and seeing here in May 2022 with inflation going crazy all around the world. Because people couldn't go to work or things had to slow down, the economy of the world has slowed down also. And that means less food or less materials or less energy all around the world. And that's having an economic impact. So would it be worth all that economic impact just to get rid of the cold? Author says maybe not. There's another risk, another problem. If we were to spread everyone out so everyone could be alone, that would mean that everyone would be about 77 meters apart, meaning that 500,000 people would have to live in the Sahara Desert for 5 weeks, or 500,000 people, 500 million people, I think that's right, would have to live in the desert, and 500 million people would have to live in Antarctica, and those people would probably not be happy and probably die. So that really wouldn't work out, being able to separate people really well, which we've also seen during the pandemic. It says maybe if everyone had biosuits or biohazard suits and walked around so they couldn't spread the virus, maybe that could work. But then, how do you eat your cheeseburger? Oh man, so all sorts of problems. Theoretically, this could work. And there's an example of a little island in Scotland, about 100 people. And that island was so small that a boat would only visit every few months. And so a boat would come and visit, and then the people on the island would get this this cough. And they called it the stranger's cough, because whenever a stranger would come, they would all get sick. Now, the people on the island said, we think people on the boats are getting us sick. But the scientists at the time said, no, it's probably because you guys are partying too much when strangers come. But what would happen, and we don't know for sure, is that a stranger would come, they would spread the cold virus all around the village, they would leave, they would all have the cold, and then the cold would get wiped out, and everyone would be fine. And no one would have a cold anymore, until strangers came again. And so, theoretically, this could work. But there's a problem. There's one catch to this. Not everyone in the world has a healthy immune system. Some people have damaged or hurt immune systems. So the cold virus could actually live in them for a month or several months or maybe even a year. So if everyone stayed away from each other, but one person still had the cold virus in their body and they went to one person, the whole virus could spread all over the world again, which we've seen with COVID-19 and its different variants. So it's a little bit tricky there. In a book called The Planet of Viruses, the author actually says, hey, look, the cold virus can kind of suck and other viruses are not that good, but people who become adults and they don't get viruses in their body actually have a weaker immune system than kids who get the viruses. So viruses are actually teaching our body how to defend themselves. So it could be good to have a cold. And then there's other research that says, viruses hurt your body and they make your body vulnerable, which can make them hurt even more. And so there's not a lot to really pinpoint there, except there's different evidence on both sides of viruses could be good, viruses could be bad. The author says, but hey, look, if there becomes a vaccine for the common cold, sign me up and I'll be the first one to take it. And that is how the two questions end. Some vocabulary. The first one, aforementioned, means the thing I talked about before. So aforementioned problem or aforementioned idea. Intuition. Intuition is the idea that something is right or wrong that you can't really explain with reason. Maybe deep in your brain, you've seen some facts and ideas that you haven't been able to process yet, but you just feel like something's not right. That is intuition. And if we imagine a hockey puck being shot at Mach 2, we imagine someone getting a hole in their body. That's our intuition, our feeling. But logically and rationally, if we looked at the real math, no, it would just explode on the person. Number 3, quarantine, which you've probably heard a lot. I think we might have had it in our vocabulary too. But just to say it again, quarantine is when you separate yourself from other people, usually because of a virus. If you think of an astronaut in outer space, when they come back to Earth, they can't touch people or see people for an amount of time because they could have gotten some strange alien virus out in outer space. Or a virus could have mutated in outer space and changed and done something crazy. So we quarantine them. We don't let other people get near them. And these days when people got COVID-19, they would have to be quarantined in their house. They couldn't go out and people couldn't visit them. Number 4, conceivably means that you can think of it. Conceivably, everyone could separate and be away from each other, right? We can imagine that. Imaginable, can imagine is kind of a way to think about it. Immunocompromised means people that have their immune system that's damaged or weak. Compromised means defenseless, or meaning the defensives have been broken. Calibrate, which I think we've had before, means to align, to make sure we can see right measurements. That leaves us with our discussion question. What do you think is the best way to get rid of the common cold? And of course, these days you can even talk about COVID-19 or the coronavirus. That leaves you to making your own discussion question. And that is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.